Track reviews.
Charli XCX is here to rock. Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. And it's time for a track review of this brand new Charli XCX song, Rock Music. Before we give it a listen though, a bit of setup I suppose, because Charli XCX just underwent really the biggest album cycle of her career with Brat. Something that for her personally was a reset, but was a reset too culturally. Like, not only did the Brat name, vibe, aesthetic take the pop world by storm during the summer of 2024, but you could really argue the record helped fuel this newfound love for super dark, edgy, clubby dance music. A trend whose momentum has really been building over the past couple of years, and a lot of younger artists and DJs now are sort of eating off of it, feeding off of it successfully. And over the last year, you could say Charli has really been victory lapping off of all the right calls she made during the Brat era, coming out with the Moment movie mockumentary that parodied and commented on all of the goings-on during this time period in her life and her career, and also using this new level of fame to land some movie and soundtrack work too, as she just did that whole Wuthering Heights soundtrack, something that a lot of people say is like the best thing about the movie, which I don't disagree. But despite all of this success and Charli really becoming like the it girl when it comes to modern dance pop in the mainstream, she has projected that she'd be slowing down her output a little bit, sort of enjoying the spoils of her success off of this album, which is certainly well-deserved, but I thought the break would be going on a little bit longer maybe, and she would potentially be detouring into other creative avenues over this period of time. But no, it seems like Charli is readying the next era or album cycle already, and it's coming along with a huge genre switch as well. Or at least, again, that's what she has been forecasting with a recent interview where she said the dance floor is dead and she's going to be making rock music. Well, if you've paid attention to Charlotte's career, not only has she made pop music that has flirted with rock in the past on her Sucker record, an album that miraculously has not seen the same kind of critical reassessment much of her back catalog has, since she has kind of seen this recent blow up. And also, what is Charli if not somebody who always has her finger to the wind, sort of keeping track of what is bubbling up in the underground of music these days? And it's no secret that indie rock is making a little bit of a comeback. Maybe she's seeing the growth potential in this sound over the next year or so and thinking she could put herself in the midst of that too, which for sure could be a correct prediction. But will Charli actually do this genre justice, working with some of her usual collaborators? I don't know. Because while I wouldn't say dance music and rock music are diametrically opposed or anything like that, they are very different styles of music that appeal in different ways to different audiences, have different characteristics and qualities. Regardless of what this new era brings to Charli, I would hate to hear what sounds like a haphazard transition. So today we are now getting a potential taste of what this era is going to bring for Charli with the first single, Rock Music, about as on the nose as you can get. The track is just under 2 minutes, and let's give it a listen. Okay, we are making rock music now, I guess. Where to start with this? Let's start with the tune itself and the vibe it's giving off. It feels very, I'll say like 2000s pop punk, late 90s alt rock, a little Avril, a little Weezer. The melody is there. The structure is there. And I truly feel like that's the best and most solid thing the song has going for it. It's real sassy, to the point. There's an attitude to it that I can appreciate. But then there are the other elements of the song that I find to be a lot more questionable or honestly terrible. First off, the lyrics, or at least some of the lyrics, like the opening lines of the song. Me and my friends, we go out, we take pictures and make stuff together. And sometimes we cry, we kiss each other. Real incestuous vibes? Incestuous vibes? Why would you say that? Beyond that, that, the rest of the lyrics on the song, I think are better. I mean, you know, incestuous is kind of rock bottom. You can really only go up from there. But the rest of the lyrics on this track more or less feel like the kind of tongue-in-cheek, comedic, ha hee hee meta commentary that you would get out of an SNL parody song. Like hearing this, I'm imagining Charli XCX next to Carlin Jost in a mosh pit, which I mean is fine. You know, not to say that Charli should be prevented from, you know, putting a little irony or putting a little self-effacing comment or two in her music. But if you want people to take this transition into a new style seriously, especially when you're coming with lines like, we think the dance floor is dead, so now we're making rock music, we're transitioning. Yeah, I just imagine you would want people to take the tone a little bit more seriously. That is, unless, again, she is trying to be as funny and parody-like as possible. I mean, the commentary about making rock music and how sort of on-trend and forward-looking Charli and all of her friends are who are making things, it does come across as like pretentious in a self-aware way, like they're trying to satirize themselves, which, again, I do think there is something to that, but it's put this song in a place where it feels less like a song and more like a skit. Then there's the production, which I have mixed feelings on. Some elements I love, some elements I don't. I love the stuttering edits on Charli's voice throughout the track. I think that's a really cool feature. And surprisingly, the heavy use of autotune that she's known for doesn't come across that bad within the context of this rock song. It doesn't take away from the rawness of her voice and some of the talk sung passages, which I think go over pretty well. Then there's the guitars, the star of any rock song, right? And while I was worried about how raw or organic the guitars might sound on a Charli XCX rock song, they're actually pretty decent. They have a cool, grungy, distorted, lo-fi-ish undertone to them that I think goes over really well, kind of reminds me of the Weezer Maladroit era. But then outside of that, the song is really missing something. For one, the drums suck ass. They're boring. They're flat. They're lifeless. They're barely pumped up in the mix, which I think is a rookie mistake for anybody who hasn't had a lot of experience making rock music or has a very sort of surface level view of the genre. Because while rock music isn't necessarily defined by its beats in the way that maybe hip hop or some strains of EDM might, the drums are still so essential and right up front on classic records from AC/DC, White Stripes, Guns N' Roses. The drums on these records are booming and in your face and are enhancing the grooves the guitar riffs are playing. And the drums on this track, sadly, are not doing any of that. Honestly, I would rather the drums even have like a bit of an EDM flavor to them if they were going to have any oomph or push to them, but they're just buried in the mix and it leaves the song feeling like it has no backbone. So not only is there just so little in terms of drums, but there's like, is there any bass on this fucking thing? I've given it a few listens and maybe there is a bit in the mix if I just listen to it a little closer, but I don't know. I feel like the bass should be jumping out at you. At least there's room for that in the mix from what I heard. Like most of the sound of this thing is taken up just by the guitar and Charli's voice and sort of that stuttering what sounds like a guitar sample, which is fine. I feel like that's a nice touch, but there's not a whole lot of low end on this track. Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss with this one. I don't really like it, and I don't know if this is a great move for Charli to make, if more songs are going to sound like this, if she is making a genuine and honest effort at moving in this direction, and these are the results. One sort of like slight bit of solace that I take away from this track is that it does consciously sound like she's doing a parody of some sort or some kind of like bit or gag. Like it sounds a little scuffed and weird and tongue-in-cheek and awkward because it's doing that on purpose. I have no doubt there is like at least a little bit of intention there on that front, but that doesn't make me want to listen to it again. As somebody who loves Charli's music and loves rock music too, I wish that she and her collaborators sort of took this new direction and this tease toward a new sound, a new era, a little bit more seriously. Because it sounds like they were close enough as far as a rock song is concerned to making something that sounded halfway decent if the production actually felt balanced and complete and fully there. But instead, this comes across like, at least in part, they're kind of taking the piss. Why? For what purpose? What does this serve? You know, you're not frickin' Weird Al. Maybe more will be revealed soon and other tracks that dabble in the same sound will be much better than this. But until then, with this song just on its own, I'm not really crazy about it. In fact, I would say I'm downright disappointed. Those are my thoughts. In the comments, let me know what yours are, please. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Charli XCX, rock music forever.